Time for another Soccer Down Here 1v1, and it's time to kind of look at Open Cup a little bit. We had our first round matchups, and one of the teams that was victorious traveled from Des Moines, Iowa to Murfreesboro, Tennessee, got the Duke, and folks are back. Congratulations to the Des Moines Menace for their 3-0 win over Beaman United. Hanging out with us, co-general manager of the Menace, Charlie Bales, to kind of let everybody know about Open Cup and what it's like to win in round one. Charlie, thanks for hanging out for a 1v1.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, we got as you said, we made the trek over to Murfreesboro. Not a we haven't not hosted the first round in a while. So when U.S. Soccer came out with the news, and not only were we on the road, but it was 691 miles away, with nobody on the current roster, which we can get into. It's been an experience, but we're happy to get through that first round.
So, since you've opened that door, let's go ahead and walk through that door and go into the room. League Two, it's going to take a while, obviously, for season to start. No one on an active roster, having to get folks together and get from Iowa to Murfreesboro, Tennessee. How did this happen?
It's such a silly thing, John. So I've played in Open Cup. I love Open Cup. I've come full circle as far as the Des Moines Menace is concerned, from a fan as a little kid to playing for the team to playing in Open Cup and now leading the club. Back when I played in Open Cup, it was in May. We had our team because that's when League Two plays League Two. These days, our League Two team of predominantly college kids qualifies us for the next year's Open Cup, which now begins in March. Well, guess what? NCAA players cannot leave during the spring, during the middle of their spring season. They would lose a year of eligibility if they were to come and play in a tournament that they qualified for. So it leaves us in this predicament of, well, who the heck is going to represent us in March to maybe win 1, 2, 3 games, which gets extremely difficult. Potentially getting us maybe to May, where we actually have the kids that will be on our team for the summer. Crazy thing.
That's just all right. So then, as co-general manager, and like I said, you can pull back the curtain as far as you want here. I assume that you have unlimited minutes on your phone. I assume you have unlimited text. Might be a WhatsApp group.
It's a lot of WhatsApp, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
I was going to say, how did you pull this off to sit there and go, you're knocking on the door. It's like, okay, can you come and be a part of things? I mean, seriously, how did you pull this off?
So you missed one there. I'll tell you what I did last year. We were in a little bit better of a place this year. Instagram, direct messages,
Yeah.
sliding in the DMs. I was looking through and figuring out players that had just retired or were between professional contract, whatever it is. If you at one point in your life were a decent player, I was asking if you had one more game in you, or what your plan was, or anything like that. But it's just so tough because a lot of these players too, you retire for a reason, whether it's a job or family or this or that. And now also we're in League Two, so we can't pay players. So because we're in League Two and we qualify with these college athletes, where you have an amateur team that qualifies via a different route and a different avenue, where, hey, if they're dishing out $100 to someone on a Sunday league to come play for them, and they've done well and qualified for the Open Cup, but there are less rules. I mean, that's another thing. I can't offer someone money to come and play for the Des Moines Menace for the Open Cup. So sliding into DMs, making phone calls, doing other things. Our coach was absolutely fantastic about it this year. For us and the Menace and our reputation, we want to provide players that are kind of in between pro contracts, or feel that they haven't had the chance to be seen and sign a professional contract yet, and provide them, and offer this opportunity to play in the Open Cup as a vehicle to potentially get signed. And professional teams have been paying attention to who we're bringing in over the years, and that's clearly stated by, I think, last 2 or 3 years we've had at least between 25 and 30 guys sign professional contracts within a year after playing for the Menace.
I'm flabbergasted. I'm flummoxed and I'm marveling all at the same time because of the contacts that you have to make as a front office and a coach to assemble a squad to get to a first round match that you qualified for with other folks who can't play, and you're basically sitting there saying, yo, can you do me a favor? Can you do me a solid? Basically, that's what this is. I mean, if I'm wrong, correct me here, but this sounds like, can you do me a solid? We'll do you a solid, and we'll get you down to Murfreesboro for a round one match in U.S. Open Cup. Am I missing anything here?
No, I mean, a prime example of this is one of my closest friends. His name's Lance Roseboom. He played. He was a captain of Miami in the USL Championship. As recently as 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Retired. Lives in Des Moines. His wife happens to be a lawyer here in Des Moines. Has 4 kids under the age of 7 years old. Yeah, I had to almost. I got to the point where I almost went to his house to babysit his kids just so he would come to train so that he could play for us in Open Cup 2022. It gets wild, and John, we're only talking about getting the players. Like they also have to meet one another and become a team,
right?
And the last 2 years, each year they've had 3 days of training leading up to a game.
And you still end up getting a win. And I imagine for the coaching staff, that speaks a lot for the coaching staff in assembling this group. I don't know how many guys were in the traveling party. How many were on the active roster going down?
18. We just went with the flat 18. Yeah.
Okay, so you got 18 guys. You got them together. You got them from Des Moines, obviously flying from Des Moines to Nashville on the Des Moines Menace charter. I imagine that's how that happened, right? And
yeah, exactly.
the Des Moines Menace charter flight to get them from point A to point B, and then getting everybody together on that next round of transportation from B and A to Murfreesboro. Half hour, 45 minutes, depending on the time that you land in traffic and all these kinds of things. I mean, I think that speaks well about the guys that you brought in, A, all 18 of them, and then B, the coaching staff to sit here and come up with a game plan up against, a team like Beaman United who, came in through a different path and all these kinds of things. I think that speaks well about your coaching staff too.
I mean, and the coaches are flying in. Like our head coach is he's just now transitioning away from Davis and Elkins, but a Division II school in West Virginia. I think as we've flown him in, he sometimes has to drive to Charlotte or drive to Pittsburgh because just to fly out to, whether it's to Des Moines or to Nashville. It was everything. We had to get our ops team there. We had to, unfortunately for this first round, it was not streamed. It was not going to be streamed. Right. So another piece of this interesting little puzzle. It was put on the home team, Beaman United, who is, they do compete in the UPSL, but for the most part, they are, they are an amateur organization where you don't necessarily have like sponsors or the means to put together a high quality broadcast in America's oldest and most prestigious soccer tournament. So that was something that we, as the away team, handled from 700 miles away as well.
For those that don't know, and I mean, there are folks who might have their favorite team in USL League Two footprints and things like that and follow along and see as the Menace are chasing after championships. And then you see something that's streamed and it's standing room only. I mean, you can't get a ticket, or if you do, you've got to get there early to make sure that you've got a seat. For those that haven't had the chance to know what the soccer footprint is and what soccer means to the fabric there in Des Moines, either through the Menace or through everything you experience, how would you describe what it means?
Honestly, it's the thing that's very cool about the Des Moines Menace and that I don't think a lot of people realize, but here it is. We hold it very close to our hearts. It's really a family organization that's been around for. We're in our 29th season, entering our 29th season right now. Would be 30, but for COVID. This organization, and I like to joke that it was our owner had a vision of soccer and what it would be, and it invested in soccer before soccer was cool here in the States. The Menace was playing in competitive matches before MLS was a thing, and we've come a long way. I'm a born and bred Iowa soccer player. I've made tons of lifelong friends via the Des Moines Menace. There are so many people here in Des Moines that are from other countries around the world that are now working and living and have families in Des Moines because they were brought to Des Moines via the Des Moines Menace. Um, and we're good too. We have a long-standing record of bringing in good players, treating people well, and I like to say that we do everything that we can to treat these players like professionals, except for pay them to play soccer. We are bringing in kids that we know have aspirations to play at the next level. We're going to treat them as such, and we're going to help them and provide them a platform to be able to be seen and do so.
And then how would you describe USL League Two and its place and what it means to the greater framework of soccer here in the U.S. as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm talking to friends, and whether it's soccer fans or people that just know sports, or you don't even have to know sports really, I say that this is a League Two is essentially 98% college all-star teams. It is these League Two teams, they spend the fall watching film and maybe going to a game or two and watching college soccer from Division 1 all the way down to JUCO. Not to say that one is better than the other. It's actually crazy on the men's soccer side how there are NAIA schools that would destroy Division 1 schools and vice versa. So talent is everywhere, and it's really, really cool to see. But is a college all-star team for the summer. You recruit a team. They take the finals in May. They might come to your market and represent your badge for the summer. There are other clubs that have this as top of the pyramid. It's local talent. And maybe for 17 to 20-year-olds competing in a USL League Two. That is another model. So plenty of different models, but mostly college all-star teams, and guys that it's called Path to Pro for a reason. If you look at the last couple of MLS drafts, a very, very high percentage of those draftees have come through League Two. So it's a good league for those that are looking to play at the next level.
And when you look at where soccer has come from, and I know that you mentioned where your owner brought the Menace in before Major League Soccer was soccer, before soccer was cool. When you look at the time that you've spent being a part of the soccer fabric and the soccer family there in Des Moines, when you look at, say, when you were a young kid starting out to now, what's it been like to see it grow and evolve to where it is this part of the framework, not just in the Midwest, but in the United States?
Yeah, it's absolutely it is wild, and especially like I'm sure this happens in other markets, but here in Iowa, it's I'm 31 years old. My parents never in their lives had an opportunity to play the sport of soccer. They didn't know what it was. Their introduction to soccer was via me starting at 4 years old, and it was let's put him in a sport where he runs around and gets tired and see what happens. Right now, all the 31-year-olds that I know, and even call it 31 to 40-year-olds here in Des Moines, they were at least signed up or introduced to soccer at 4, 6, 7 years old. Whether or not they continue to play, completely up to them. But they know the game, they have an understanding for it, and we're seeing now this, like especially here in Des Moines and even the rest of Iowa, this next generation of, oh well, these kids they have a soccer ball in their crib, or their parents are very passionate about it, or understand the game, or are watching it on the weekends. Soccer wasn't on TV even for me as a 31-year-old growing up, and now it's everywhere. So I think that whether it's here in Iowa or across the United States, like this next generation, where now the individuals that played soccer, a lot of them their whole lives are having children. I think there's going to be a big wave here very soon.
Charlie Bales, co-GM of the Des Moines Menace from USL League Two, hanging out with us for a Soccer Down Here 1v1 for another couple of minutes after their win over Beaman United, round one of the U.S. Open Cup. Now, I'm trying to do math, and that's kind of a dangerous thing for me. Round two, April 4 through 6. So as you and I are talking, it is the 23rd of January, February, March. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. So 8 plus we're looking at 5. So you basically got 2 weeks to be in something akin to a holding pattern / developmental period before Valley Stadium gets Chattanooga SC in the Iowa, Tennessee home and home aspect of Open Cup now. Chattanooga from NISA gets to come up there to Valley and take you on in round 2. How do you see these next 13 days shaping up for a team that has won in round 1, doesn't pay players, calling on dudes to do you a solid? Hey, I'll do you a solid. You do me a solid. How do you see these next 13 days shaping up before Chattanooga FC comes to town?
Well, we got to find somewhere for the players that are coming into market to stay. Another little piece of League Two is any League Two team that puts up players for the summer. You do it for the summer. You do some form of, hopefully you're doing some form of deal, marketing and trade, or getting a discount on apartments, right? Or whether it's a house or whatever. We do apartments here. Well, those apartments start when our players arrive. Right now, we're gonna have to figure something out. We're gonna have to, potentially spend some money to put individuals up that will be coming and training and playing for us. In the next 13 days, we need to take a look at who Chattanooga has on their current roster, what that looks like. I need to make sure that my coach can come again for the game and leave his college. Like there are just so many things, and it's crazy. And we care so deeply about this tournament that we're willing to do so. But there are teams that have to just straight up say no to playing in it, even though they've qualified, because it's a lot.
So then let me ask you this. You are Open Cup king for a day. You were the master of everything Open Cup. You can put a crown on or give yourself an orb and a scepter and
love it.
And whatever form you wish to have, can have a crown. It's got, it's a cape with Menace, with the Menace logo on the back or what have you. How would you address what you are going through and what the lower division clubs are going through in this tournament that are either League Two or amateur or what have you, that happen to have to play in this tournament and they get a win and they're having to go through round 2 and they might get on a run? If you're king for a day for this tournament, how would you address what's going on and what you and your club as an example are having to go through?
I haven't thought about it enough to give you the perfect scenario and think through every argument. So yeah, take this for what it is. But I do really love the concept of starting in May for almost, and it's not just USL League Two, it's also NPSL and even some of these other local qualifying leagues where, their players are between 18 and 22 years old and can't come and play. So it used to start in May, start it in May again. I think that they've drawn it out more to help the MLS teams. Well, guess what? There's a lot of MLS teams that don't care about the Open Cup. And for the amateur teams, it's your chance to make history, be a Cinderella story, so on and so forth. So back to May we go. And then, I want to see this on Saturdays. It's very, very tough to get people to come to a game on a Wednesday night. And that's in any league across the world, no matter the competition format or whatever it is. People have work the next day, and so we'll have a 7 p.m. game April 5th. Obviously a Wednesday night against Chattanooga. It's really, really cool, and we're hosting a professional team. There's currently not professional soccer in the state of Iowa. Via this tournament, we're bringing pro soccer to Iowa, but it's on a Wednesday night in early April, and it makes it tough to market. So we're spending 13 days trying to tell the story of why this is cool, why you should come watch, and why you should care.
So then for folks that will be listening to this, and they want to keep on an eye on everything going on with the Menace as you guys are getting ready 13 days from now as you and I are talking for this matchup against Chattanooga FC, go ahead and cut the promo for me and talk about social media and how folks can follow the process along.
Yeah, absolutely. So I made it nice and simple. It is Menace Soccer 94, and that is TikTok, that is Twitter, that is Instagram, that is Facebook. We're pretty good about that. And we are better during the summer, John, because I have interns that are college interns.
True.
So me trying to get figure out how to post on Facebook and Twitter can get interesting, but we're doing our best here. See you pointing to yourself.
Uh-huh.
So it is follow along. We already know that via the Bleacher Report YouTube channel, we will have that game against Chattanooga streamed. So thankful for that. But yeah, follow along, follow the journey. We've won 6 games over professional teams in the history of the Menace. I think that is number 2 in the modern era behind the Flint City Bucks. No, they're not in the field this year, so we have the most wins over professional teams in this year's field. We've been around, as I said, 29 seasons. This is our 15th time being in the Open Cup. We just got our either 12th or 13th win on last night, Wednesday night, and looking to add to it, looking to win some games, knock out some pro teams, get guys seen and the contracts they deserved, and take people along for the journey.
Well, as you know, first off, fantastic that we were able to connect, especially on short notice because of a match in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, having to return to Iowa and get things rolling because there is no end here. It's it's a continuous thing now. And I imagine that behind you, as I'm staring at the space there in the office, I imagine that there's probably a rather large 4-foot by 8-foot wide whiteboard that's got a lot of different things on it that you've got to attack over the next 13 days. And thanks for taking the time to kind of let everybody know what it's like up there for Menace to compete A and to be a part of the Fabric B up there in Des Moines. Thanks for hanging out with us for a Soccer Down Here 1v1. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on you as you head toward round 2.
Thank you.